Namo Buddhaya. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friday Monk Chat with Empty Cloud Monastery, New Jersey. And welcome, everyone. Meredith Eventide and Julie from Quebec, Canada. Maria, Lydia from Los Angeles. And yes, I think the questions are already coming in. And also welcome to our audience here, Anthony, Charles, and Phillips. Okay, we do have a question right away from Julie, and also welcome John, Yankee Apple, and Hasanta Gunasekara, Sydney, Australia. Oh, nice. Okay, the question here. Is that right?
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Looks like Julie asked. Thank you, Bante. Julie asks, on which moons do Buddhists traditionally take the 8 precepts? Do they stay up all night to meditate?
So there are 4 moons actually, 4 moons. So people can come to the temple on all the 4 moons to meditate. That means 4 times a month. So full moon day at least is a very important day. At least the full moon day, people can come and observe the 8 precepts, and then meditate, and then listen to Dhamma talk, have some Q&A sessions like this, and they can continue to practice. Yeah. When we say like observing the 8 precepts, let's say like you are also observing 3 extra precepts apart from the 5 precepts, like the not taking like any solid food afternoon, and also not engaging in entertainment and other what do you call decorations, makeup and all that stuff, and then also not using any comfortable cushions or lofty chairs and beds. So those are applied to the 8 precepts. And if you say like you're going to release the precepts around maybe like 5, 6 or something, then the 6th precept I think is not going to work. So I think it is better you kind of observe the 8 precepts for at least 24 hours. That will be the ideal time for you to practice. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next question. It's kind of hard. Okay.
Okay, John asks, why are the Uposatha days correlated with the phases of the moon? How is the moon related to merit making?
I think previously they were following the moon. So when you look at the moon, you can see whether it is waning moon or waxing moon. And also they could decide the date accordingly. And that's how in the ancient time people were actually practicing. But don't also underestimate the power of the sun and the moon. Because if you see the moon, the tidal waves will also swell, right? Have you seen? When it comes to the night time, the waves, tidal waves, or the ocean is swells. So it is coming towards the land. And also the sun, when it comes to the morning, you feel like more refreshing, and you want to wake up, you want to do something, you want to start some work. All these, refreshing thoughts come to you. And when it comes to the full moon, if you see, oh, this is full moon, and your emotional side can wake up. Even some people can be, if there are some people with certain physical ailments, can also certain in certain cases can be aggravated. Have you noticed? Some people, yeah, they could even have that impact. So the sun and moon have their own impact. So it's not only those days, but also the other days are open for you to do use merit making. But when it comes to those full moon days, it's perfect for us to do some merit making, because those are the times that can, and in some cases, negatively impact us. So it's better to do some merit making, and better to engage in some good deeds, meritorious deeds. Sorry, I took up both the questions. Okay.
Oh, no worries.
Sadhu Bhante.
Okay. All right. So venerables can also add something. Should we?
Really, you're so much more experienced than we are. You should just answer all the questions, I think.
Okay. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Hopefully, Ajahn Wade can answer the questions. Yes.
Okay. So this is from John. John asks, how would you compare the karmic effects of advocacy work versus direct service, as in feeding or saving animals, as opposed to advocating for laws and policies that save habitats and animal life? Okay, so in terms of the karmic efficacy of these two.
Well, I think the karmic efficacy of providing direct aid and service, for example, providing food to animals, is fairly straightforward by Buddhist standards. That this is positive, this is good karma. The karmic efficacy regarding advocacy work, at least I can say that it would depend to some extent on what the state of mind is and the approach to it. If you view it and approach it as a conflict-oriented situation, then this would at least detract from the merit of the goodness of trying to help the animals. But if you're able to go into it with more of a cooperative attitude, an attitude of service and of giving, the same kind of attitude you would have when giving food to an animal, for example, out of compassion, then this could be very karmically positive, I think. And so I think those are the basic things to look for and to cultivate.
Okay. Do you want to add something?
That was good.
Okay. Yeah. So we also have some other people joining, and Ami Nicholas and Bhumika, and interesting name here, Karuna Monastic Cat Cuddler. We do have a monastic cat here also. And also a Burmese friend, if you can type your name, that will be nice. And Joseph Hammond, and Lilani Balasurya. And yeah, our next question is from Hasanta Gunasekara. He said he's from Australia. Okay.
Okay, so Hasanta asks, what are the differences between Theravada and Sarvastivada other than their concept of time, please?
That's your question.
Okay. Okay, well. Okay, so for those who don't know, maybe these are two different schools of Buddhism in India. Theravada, technically from Sri Lanka, but there were also branches in South India. So these are two different schools, and they had different opinions about some of the Buddhist teachings. So they have different Abhidharma systems. So maybe some people have learned about Abhidhamma, and this is kind of a philosophical classification of the teachings in more formal ways than instead of the suttas, which tend to be more conversational. And so Theravada Buddhism, they have their own Abhidharma, and in the Sarvastivada school, they have a different Abhidharma, and also different commentaries. So there's a rich commentarial tradition in Theravada Buddhism, and Sarvastivada in the school of Sarvastivada, they also had commentaries, and they had treatises and things, similar things, but with different types of opinions and readings. So maybe I don't think it's you can probably find a lot of information online, but one thing that comes to mind that's actually different, which maybe is interesting, maybe you could contemplate, is that in Theravada Buddhism, they say that the doctrine is that the Four Noble Truths are realized at once. And in Sarvastivada Buddhism, they said that actually they're realized separately, like sequentially in time, very rapidly in succession. So that was another difference. The major difference, for those who don't know, Sarvastivadins, they said that the past and the present and the future all actually exist. And actually all dharmas actually exist. So they exist kind of independently. Whereas the Theravadins said that things come into being momentarily and then they pass away, and only the present moment exists. So those are some differences. But they had a lot of differences, a lot of kind of disputes and scholastic arguments over very minor Abhidharma points. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Hello, Thora, and also Noma Skydoor. And we do have another question from Joseph Hammond. I would like to ask Venerable Ajahn Ved to answer this.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. So I believe that this
should
is
be the
actually
other one. It should be the one, right?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
looks like
okay.
it's actually a comment, but Joseph is saying that he would like to offer a gift of compassion perception to the Sangha. He learned yesterday that there are reported cases of predators in nature who play with prey without harming or eating them. Inspires perceptions of safety and metta, like the Christian perception of the lion laying down with the lamb. So may this warm your compassionate hearts. So it sounds like he's just making a comment, offering this perception of nature where they don't harm the prey. Sadhu.
Okay, so let's go to the next one then, right? Question by John.
Okay, John asks, I've been told that monasteries are good places to develop skillful habit energies. Can you speak about your experiences cultivating these energies?
Do you want to answer?
Well, I could. Let's see. Skillful habit energies. Is that right?
Yes, that right? That's correct.
Skillful habit energies. Well, monasteries can be, and really so many places can be, can provide good opportunities and good environments for developing skillful habits. And in fact, you could say skillful habits do have an energy of their own. There's a verse in the Dhammapada, as I recall, it's in the Dhammapada, where the Buddha says that one should do good things and do them often, do them again and again, and cultivate a love of doing good things. And so, using the term skillful habit energies, it reminds me of this verse that the happiness that we derive from performing skillful deeds can grow and become a kind of a force in and of itself in our lives, encouraging us to do more and more good things. This is a wonderful situation to be in, and the Buddha exhorted us to do so because, of course, skillful deeds will bring good consequences for us due to the merit of good karma. And of course, we'll develop a lot of parami as well, our spiritual virtues, which will be there for us as well in the future to help us through all kinds of situations. And so monasteries can provide a very good environment for that, and in many other places as well. And in fact, If we spend some time in a monastery or spend some time in a meditation center or any place that seems especially conducive for us, we want to try to take that mindset and use those skillful habits wherever we go, so that we come to see every place is a good environment for being skillful and exercising those habits we've developed.
Yes. Yeah, monasteries always have better places than the maybe some busy homes where you have so many activities. Monasteries normally become a little bit silent, quiet, peaceful. So, and a lot of people, like-minded people gather, and then you can, of course, you can do a lot of merits, and you can do engage in a lot of skillful habit energies within the monastic premises. Okay. We have a question from Hasanta Gunasekara.
Okay, Hasanta's question. Karma is described at an individual level, but do you think communities or countries experience karma vipaka for their decisions, like communal decisions, e.g., how they vote?
That's a good question. So it could be because sometimes actually one person can also determine the entire world's um, destiny, right? When they take someone like a universal monarch, someone who is really powerful person, and when they take a decision, it can influence the entire world, in fact. And the other way also, like when there is a group of people working together, doing all the right thing or the wrong thing, it can influence the country in general as well. It can work both ways. Um, and one more thing is there, like not everything is karma, but if you do some intentional thing, like with wholesome or unwholesome roots, remember that. Lobha dosa moha, that is the greed, hatred, and ignorance. Or alobha adosa moha, that is generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. Those are the 6 wholesome and unwholesome roots accordingly, and or any other related defiled mind or wholesome mind. When you do something, it can actually impact our karmic energy as well. Okay.
Okay, another one from Hasanta. Can you elaborate on the description of other laws other than karma in the early Buddhist texts? Is there such a thing as chance?
Do you want to answer?
Okay, sure, Bhante, thank you. Well, maybe what comes to mind in response to this question is that there's one place where, or there's a couple places actually, but there's a view in the suttas. It's called Pubbakata Hetu Vada. So Pubbakata Hetu. So Pubba means before, like in the past. Kata means something that was done. So a deed that was done. And Hetu means a cause. So Pubbakata Hetu Vada means the doctrine that things are caused by what was done in the past. But specifically in the suttas, this means the idea that everything is caused by what was done in the past. Like everything we experience, every single thing. And this the Buddha was critical of. And one of the critiques he made, there's 2 things that come to mind. One was that he said, well, if that was true, then when beings do things like killing and stealing and lying, then that would be because of things they did in the past. They would be experiencing that experience of unwholesome action would be because of past action. And in that case, there would be no solution. There would be no escape. There would be no hope to even to do better, because it would already be determined by your past actions. So in that sense, you could say one of the things that the Buddha is pointing to is that we have efficacy there. We have our actions have efficacy in the present, right? They're not just kind of playing out on the screen of our life, but actually the actions we make in the present, those are actually shaping our experience, right? It's not all about the actions that were done in the past. So that's one thing that the Buddha was very strongly critical of, because it's very important that we take responsibility for our present actions, and we don't think that our present actions are just determined by our past actions, that we have no say, right? That there's no way that our actions can change course. So that's one thing that the Buddha we could say is very important, is the power of intention in the present moment, right? And then another thing is there's a place where the Buddha says that to think that all, for example, painful experiences or all illnesses are due to past karma is also too simplistic of a view. So he says sometimes someone might get sick. It might be because of past actions, but he says that it also might be because of bad weather, or it'd be because of some kind of imbalances in the body, or it could be due to, for example, people just attacking you. So violence by other people's actions, other people choosing to be violent, right? And so in that case, the Buddha, he gives a list of things, and he says that past actions is only one of the reasons that an illness might be manifesting, right? And so in terms of at least the dominant cause. So we can't kind of simplify it to only past actions. Of course, things like having a human body in the first place is due to past actions, but in terms of the predominant causes for what we experience, there are other things the Buddha pointed to, such as our intentions in the present moment, other people's actions, and also things in the environment that we're born into, or just temporary things that happen in the body, right? Like maybe you're exposed to a virus, and that virus causes your immune system to react. It might not be that some kind of particular karmic action is the cause of that, right? It could be something environmental in that sense, in terms of the predominant cause. So those are some things that the Buddha talked about explicitly. Another one, that maybe briefly, is that he also said there was a belief at the time that when they were doing meditation, they were experiencing a lot of pain, and the pain was arising as past karma. And so by sitting through it, they were burning off the past karma. And actually, the Buddha said that that was really foolish, because if they didn't do that practice, they wouldn't experience the pain. So it was clear that the pain was arising because of their extreme ascetic meditative practices. And the reason I mention this is because some Buddhists actually seem to have this attitude in the present day. They think that they're experiencing pain because of past actions, but maybe they're experiencing pain because they're putting their body in an uncomfortable position, for example, in the present. So those are some things that the Buddha mentioned.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we have another question here from Gregory Primos. Venerable Ajahn Ved. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, so Gregory says that monasteries with English-speaking services are hours away from where he lives. Would you recommend visiting one despite the distance, or would practice at home be a better use of one's effort?
Oh, excuse me. Well, in my opinion, I think you have to make the assessment yourself based on the cost benefits of going to the monastery and your experience of practicing alone. Of course, you probably, obviously you've tuned in for this live stream, so you're aware that there are resources online as well, and guided meditations, for example, and Dhamma talks, as well as the monk chat. And so you just have to analyze it yourself, investigate it yourself, and see what it's like for you. That's the best answer I can give you. Unless you can tell us more about your experience of either kinds of experience, tell us more about what kind of experience you've had in either kind of situation. I think it's maybe the best I can offer.
Yeah, I think if you can visit a monastery, that is um, way better, we can say. Like in person, um, when you see the monastic community and the other wonderful Kalyana Mittas, that would be a completely different story altogether. So if you can, at least, once a month or twice a month, if you can, please come visit the monastery. That will be very helpful. Yeah. Other times you can also join the online services, right? Yeah. Okay. Now we have another question from Julie.
Okay. Julie asks, can you please share some interesting stories and or character traits of Sariputta?
Okay, I think we can keep on talking about Venerable Sariputta the whole night. Yeah, he is such an amazingly powerful monk, such a wonderful, wonderful monk, and so many stories. I think you can read one sutta. There is something called Sariputta Sihanada Sutta. That is the, what do you call, lion's roar by Venerable Sariputta. And apart from that, there are quite a few suttas that Venerable Sariputta has contributed to. One sutta that comes to my mind is also Satya Vibhanga Sutta, for example. So Buddha has a great confidence in this powerful monk. He is the foremost among wise bhikkhus, and and also he was such a humble and simple monk. One day when Venerable Sariputta was actually cleaning the temple backyard, um, Venerable little Samanera Rahula saw that his robe was touching the floor, the ground, and then he mentioned, he pointed out with respect, of course, and then this amazing monk, despite he being second only to the Buddha, and it is said he was, paying respect to Venerable little Samanera monk Rahula. He was bowing to that side and for showing that. And in Sariputta Sihanada Sutta, in fact, there was an assembly of monks when there was one monk accusing Venerable Sariputta, and then the Buddha actually asked Venerable Ananda to invite all the monks to the Dhamma Sabha Mandapa, what we call the assembly hall, and there all the monks came, and then he asked Venerable Sariputta, there is an accusation against you. What do you say? What do you have to say? Because Buddha knew Sariputta is going to have that lion's roar. And when the monk said that you are not so mindful here all the time, then Venerable Sariputta said, if there was any moment that I was not mindful, I would like to actually accept if there was any, but there was no one moment, not a single moment that I was not mindful. I am so confident about my practice, Venerable Sariputta said. And it's a beautiful sutta where Venerable Sariputta's amazing mindfulness is explained, and other powerful teachings of his. And he was one monk who could actually explain things in detail, explain the Dhamma in detail to many of them. Um, so the Buddha has, in many cases, he has appreciated Venerable Sariputta as someone like a mother and father, Venerable Moggallana and Sariputta, they are like mother and father. It is said in the suttas, Sariputto bhikkhave sotapatti phale vineti Moggallano uttamatte tapeti. That means Venerable Sariputta is the one who leads someone, guides someone to Sotapanna or stream entry. And Venerable Moggallana is the one who leads them to the Uttamatta, means the enlightenment, Arahanthood. Now, people might be also, you might also be confused. Why is Hariputta only Sotapanna? Why not Arahanthood? You know, the most difficult thing is actually the first stage. First stage of sainthood, that is Sotapanna, is the most difficult one. And if you are Sotapanna, your final destination is already destined. It is confirmed that you are going to attain Sotapanna. You are going to attain final liberation, at least, at the most, within 7 existence. It is said Satta Kattu Parama. So, maximum 7 births for them, and they will never be born in the lower realms, and their right view is firmly established. So establishing one in that first stage is the most difficult one, the most challenging one, and Venerable Sariputta is the one who could do that with so much loving kindness, compassion, and also great wisdom. So after that, Venerable Moggallana would lead them to the other um, stages as well. So Venerable Sariputta was also called, um, what do you call, when he was a layperson, he was called Upatissa, and Moggallana was called Kolita, and so they were really wonderful Kalyana Mitta friends. It is said, like, for many, many births in the Sansara, they were working together, beautifully merging together, such good Kalyana Mitta friends. And during this time, they were also born in powerful um, Brahmin families. Sari Putta means, Sari is his mother, Putta is the son. So he was the son of Sari, and then Upatissa. When both of them were following, I think Sanjay Bellatiputta's teaching, right? And eventually they found it's not going to help them, so they decided to leave him, and they wanted to go in search of the true Dhamma. And they both separated, but they promised to each other. And if someone finds the true Dhamma first, the other one will also be informed. So those days you didn't have technology like today. We can send messages or WhatsApp or something. So they had to actually physically meet them. So Venerable Sariputta, Upatissa, the young man, the Brahmin, was the one who found Venerable Assaji, one of the 5 disciples, the last one. So when he saw Venerable Assaji, immediately he recognized. He was a very wise person anyway. So he immediately recognized this monk is not a normal one. His gestures, the way he walks, the way he, he was a very disciplined monk. So he definitely thought this monk must be having something deep within. And then he was following him. After after Venerable Assaji had his dana, alms food, then he talked to him, and he paid respect to him and asked, I feel very happy to see you. You look a very peaceful person, a monk, and who is your teacher? Who is your master? and can you also teach me some Dhamma, some teaching? And then Venerable Asaji said, I am just a simple monk. I was newly ordained, so I don't know much Dhamma. I can only say a little bit of the Dhamma. My master is the Buddha. And he said, I don't want too much detail. I just want only little. So just give me the summary. That should be fine. And then it is said, like Venerable Asaji recited one gatha. Ye dhamma hetu pabhava, te sang hetu tathagato aha, ye sanchayo, te sanchayo nirodo, evang vadi mahasamano. So my great samana said, so ye dhamma hetu pabhava, he talked about the dependent origination, causes and conditions, and everything that arise will cease. Everything is subject to expire or cease. So that is actually the teaching of my great samana. And the moment he heard just the first two lines, he became Sotapanna. Whenever this wonderful young Brahmin Upatissa became Sotapanna, he immediately knew, oh, this is exactly what I want to know. I really want to see the master. And then before that, I want to go meet my friend. He said, and he went in search of his friend, Kolita, and then he also recited the same gatha. And it is said, having heard the entire verse, he also became Sotapanna. So both of them became Sotapanna, and then they both went to the Buddha, and they became the most powerful monks in the entire Buddha Sasana, Sariputta Moggallana. When you go to a Buddhist temple, you can see two statues standing by the side of the Buddha. There's one is the blue color one, that is Moggallana, it is said. The other one is Venerable Sariputta, the foremost among wise monks. And so Venerable Sariputta was assigned by the Buddha in many cases when he was having some bodily pains or when he had something. He always trusted his commander in chief in the Dhamma, Venerable Sariputta, to continue the Dhamma talk. Yes. So a little bit about Venerable Sariputta. Okay. Let's go to the next question by John.
Okay. I'm sure you could share many more stories about Sariputta, but
Definitely, that's why I said it. It will take forever.
So John asks, how should a younger person show respect to an older person? And how should an older person advise and guide a younger person? What if a more experienced person is mistaken about something? I think maybe is what he is writing.
Do you want to
explain?
explain? Yes, please.
Okay. So, how should a younger person show respect to an older person? Well, it's hard to tell if you mean older in years, as in like a layperson who's older than you, or if you mean you say experienced person. So maybe by older you mean physically older. So I wonder, maybe I'll try my best to answer from different angles. But so an older person in general, someone who's physically older than us, like a grandparent or a senior person. Generally speaking, what we want to do is we want to respect their years. We want to respect that they do have this this experience in life, and so maybe it's possible that they could at least reflect or share things with us, right? So in the Buddhist scheme, the Buddha, he did say that years doesn't make someone wise, and I think we all know that, right? There might be someone who's very old, but they might not be perceived as the most wise. But at the same time, we can still respect that they might be more wise. It's possible that they are more wise, and even if they don't seem the wisest, still their years and their experience, and also how they might have helped you, help raise you, help teach you, that is still very worthy of respect, even for your own heart, right? To be humble. And so respecting them just in terms of caring for them, listening to them. If they talk to you, to pay an ear and listen, even if you don't maybe agree. And especially if it is actually, they are trying to help you, to listen and to be respectful in that way, to develop that humility, and just to hear that maybe they do have something to teach you, right? We can't learn if we don't listen with those open ears. And then also if they are older physically and they need help, right? Maybe help walking, or help with getting things, help with food and so on. It can be really nice experience to help them in that way, physically help them, like help hold them and help them, get up, help them reach things, or help them with anything that they might need in terms of just the physical ability, right? Mobility and things like that. That can be a really beautiful way to cultivate the heart with people who are older. Asking them things. I think another thing is with older people, often, especially maybe in the United States, there's sometimes a perception that these people are useless, that these people just, we lock them away, and the young people are kind of contributing, and that these people, they just, they lose their memory, they lose their mobility, they don't function in society anymore. And so there's a devaluing, there's a kind of ageism. And I think one thing that can be really, really helpful that we need in society is valuing these people, valuing conversation with them, engaging with them, treating them as people, right? Treating them as human beings. Just because they might have less memory, just because they might not be so independent, they actually have raised people, and they've taught younger people, they've been examples to all of us, and they are still people and they need help. And so we should manifest compassion by, for example, asking them questions, right? Engaging their memory, and making them feel like they can contribute, right? Giving them opportunities to help as well. That's another thing. Like maybe they also want to feel like they're doing something for others. They don't just want to be kind of tucked away in a corner. So we should really engage them as humans and really show that respect and courtesy, and also not kind of discriminating against them because of their age. I think that's very important. And then in terms of how should an older person advise and guide a younger person, one of the things that Buddha talks about is trying to establish younger people in kind of the connections and the knowledge that older people have, and also obviously with kindness and respect, right? So old people, or people who are more senior and advanced in years, ideally they should impart the knowledge that they have learned, right? So that it doesn't get lost, and they should teach and advise and admonish the younger people, because the younger people might not have the experience, or they might not have all the wider perspective that people with more years have. And so those people, ideally, they would impart that. They would show compassion by teaching the people and mentioning it to them. And also, I think elder people spending time with younger people, right? And really also dialoguing with them, because many times older people, they might engage with their own group of people and their peers, but then the younger people, they don't get the wisdom, they don't get the peace or the seniority, right, imparted in them, because they don't maybe the older people feel they can't connect with the younger people. So I think it's worth taking that time to both sides to accept that there's going to be differences and miscommunications because of generation divide, but both sides have a lot to learn, right? Both sides have a lot to gain. The younger people in humility and respect and care, and the older people also in setting aside the younger maybe differences in communication and establishing them in those teachings that they've learned. And then what if a more experienced person is mistaken about something? My maybe brief comment would be that we should just accept that they might be more experienced, but that doesn't mean they're perfect. And still, we can still learn, right? Everybody makes mistakes. And so maybe they're very experienced, they're very senior, and just because they make a mistake doesn't mean we lose respect for them. Right? We just accept that, oh, okay, they're not perfect. And also that maybe what we perceive as a mistake, it's possible it's not a mistake, right? In the larger scheme of things, right? Maybe they actually are doing something that we don't understand yet. But that also, sometimes they do still make mistakes. So it might not be a mistake, but even if it is a mistake, then we just accept like, oh, just like I make mistakes, this person also makes mistakes. And just like I don't know some things, this person also might know those things. So there's it's not black or white, we could say, right? There's nuance to this. So people might be very experienced and not perfect, and still we have that respect. I wonder if that's
wonderful.
enough.
Okay, so young Samanera, what I think 20 years or something, right? And look at the beautiful answer, like very smart.
No,
So in our Buddhist community, when we are happy, what we do, like to pay respect, keep our palms together, say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That is how we respect. That is how we express our, happiness and joy. Yeah, that's one way of practicing mudita. And also sharing the merit. All right. So next question from Noma Skydoor.
Okay, it looks like Norma has a question similar to John's. Does the collective of beings experience karma as a collective of beings?
John Wade.
Well, I have to admit that I don't know from firsthand experience. My understanding is the teaching of the meditation masters in Thailand. You see, I ordained in a monastery in Thailand in a meditation tradition, and the teaching of the meditation masters in Thailand is that, in fact, there is kind of a collective karma. But in another way, it's also kind of an individual karma. It's just when we call it collective karma, it's just a bunch of individuals all doing the same thing. And so just because you're in a group of people doesn't mean that you necessarily will have the same destiny as them. It all comes down to your own personal actions. But yes, if everyone does the same thing, then they'll experience relatively similar results. Maybe some differences based on their mental outlook when they're doing it, their mental states, for example, and also some difference in what kind of results they'll experience based on what kinds of other karma they do. So, for example, if someone does bad karma, a teaching from the suttas is that you can stay ahead of bad karma by doing good karma. And so if you have enough good karma and you keep doing good karma, you can stay ahead of bad karma that you do. That's one example.
Yes. I remember there is a sutta, actually. I don't remember exactly what is the name of the sutta. There was a group of young kids, and they were playing with a lizard, right? And there was an ant hole, and this lizard actually went inside, and what they did was to cover all the exit routes. There were a lot of holes, and they covered all of them so that they did it for fun, everyone together. And the lizard could not come out, and they went home. And after some days, somehow, these young boys, they felt bad about what they did, and they were very guilty conscious, and they came back rushing to that anthole, and they opened, and it is said the lizard was not dead yet, and he was so tired, exhausted, and somehow the lizard came out. So the karma for all these people was like that. It was very similar to the incident that happened recently in Thailand. Do you remember there was a group of young kids? They were stuck in a cave with the what do you call flood, and they all of them were actually stuck, and lots of people, I think the world's best divers and swimmers and all kinds of people, professionals were together. They got together to rescue these young children, and somehow they were able to rescue all of them. But I immediately remembered this story. That could also be very well be something like that they must have done. Luckily they had a narrow escape. So if you are together, when you do a good karma together or bad karma together, you can always be part of the vipaka or the result as well. I hope it helps. Okay, next question from Joseph Hammer.
Okay, Joseph asks, I'm seeing teachings both for and against feeling horrified, disgusted, and humiliated. How to train with these terms skillfully?
Okay,
I think he
right.
means in the suttas.
Is it part of a sutta?
It's part of the sutta where the Buddha is advising Rahula to develop a mind like the earth. It's not disgusted, horrified.
Right. Ambalattika Rahulavada Sutta? One was Ambalattika Rahulavada Sutta, another was just Rahulavada, Maharahulavada
It's the
Sutta.
Mahavira.
Yeah, I think one thing practically I could say you should practice metta, right? Practice metta, loving kindness. You can train with these terms skillfully. And loving kindness practice is a tremendously powerful technique to cope up with this. Do you remember what they say? What is said in the sutta?
He gives us a comparison to make the mind like the earth or like water, like fire, like the wind.
The four elements.
When people throw feces or
Oh, yes. And the earth is, the mother earth doesn't get angry, right? So, yes. So, that patience, that amazing patience. And also, practicing that humility, um, like comparing yourself to a doormat. When everyone is tapping on you, you still become humble and simple. So those are the humilities. And yes, Joseph, I would say keep practicing metta, one towards yourself and two towards the others. You start practicing first yourself, towards yourself. Send loving kindness towards yourself. And when you are horrified or disgusted or humiliated, remember that you are the only one, a unique person in this world. There is no duplicate of you. Although maybe in the science they are trying to match, duplicate, but I don't think like emotionally anyone can match another person. So you are the owner of your own karma. And if you become sad, if you become upset, if you become horrified, it will only generate a negative energy within you, and that can be very bad, harmful for your um, present existence and also future existences. So you need to come out of this. Remember that you have to take responsibility. I want to come out of this, and I will come out of this. So be confident you can do that. And maybe if you need, you can reach out to some good kalyana mitra friends for support. Otherwise, it was self reflection, self investigation. Remember what happens to you when you are horrified. And close your eyes, look into yourself. What happens to you when you are horrified? What happens to your body and mind when you are horrified? What part of the body is impacted with this powerful emotion when you are disgusted or humiliated? Just look at that, and you will see. Also, maybe practice. The body is just the five aggregates. right? This is just a skeleton, just flesh and blood. You just think of that way, and that will also actually help you. And this is just a five aggregate. Another five aggregates was accusing me. Another skeleton was accusing me, trying to horrify me. It's okay. I'll tell you a simple formula. It's okay. I am okay. May you be well, happy, healthy. Practice that one will be really, really help you. Okay. Like when somebody yells at you or tries to harm you in many ways, you think of that person. It's okay, it was not you but the other person's karma. It was not your karma, that the other person's karma. So you don't worry about that. And then you look into yourself. Have I been impacted? Did I harm myself? Did I hurt myself? My ego, was it hurt? And you need to look into yourself deeply. And then if you find you're good, you can say, I am okay. It's okay. I'm okay. And then one more advanced practice that you can do with still with pure heart. You send loving kindness to that person. May you be well, happy, healthy. If there is a group of people doing that, may they be well, happy, healthy. You can practice that and you will be fine. You will quickly get out of these problems. And you will not be humiliated or horrified or disgusted by anyone, because I am confident of my practice. I'm very confident of my sila. And so even though the other people, the entire world says something, you can still be so confident um, by following the Dhamma and matching your own Dhamma. I remember one more example by a really wonderful monk in Sri Lanka. He said, when the other people are actually appreciating you, you feel very good, right? You feel really nice when somebody else is appreciating you. Oh, wow, I'm being, appreciated and highlighted. Yeah, I'm very good. In public, especially when they appreciate, you feel good. So name and fame is good. But then when somebody else is really, really telling bad things about you, spreading gossip about you, this is the time to test your own dharma. So you can really feel, oh, this is my own karma. I have maybe also in the past done the same thing to other people. So that's why right now I am suffering. I'm being humiliated by this. So it's okay. I will bear with it, and I'm not going to respond to these things negatively, but I will come out of these things victoriously, confidently with my practice. I hope that way you can be a wonderful, powerful, confident, and peaceful person. Okay.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Right. So Scott Bartel has a question.
Okay. So Scott asks, can you share some examples of practitioners with sustainable right livelihood who manage well in stressful environments and how they do this?
You want to answer?
Is it my turn? I feel in such a way.
Rajan,
I don't know if I feel whatever you prefer.
okay. Is that Rajan Ved's turn?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
Examples of people with sustainable right livelihood who manage well in stressful environments. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yes. And how they do this.
And how to do this. Well, okay. So you may know what right livelihood constitutes, and this is easily researched. What constitutes wrong is defined by what constitutes wrong livelihood in the Noble Eightfold Path. There's wrong livelihood for lay people, and And it's actually there are quite a wide variety of livelihoods that are right livelihood. And so we don't have to get so specific about someone in particular. The examples of people who perform well, manage their emotions well in stressful environments, and how to do it. I think that this comes down to a couple of things, a couple of ways of answering. We could look at the fundamentals of practice. That it's so helpful to have the fundamentals of practice in place. The practice of generosity and having precepts and practicing meditation on a regular basis. So that when we find ourselves in stressful situations, we have the resources to draw on and the practice, to use to deal with it emotionally. And when we find ourselves in stressful circumstances, then the application of the meditation techniques that we found work for us. This can help us get through stressful situations, remaining calm. In general, mindfulness meditation, modern scientists say, is very good for helping us with managing our emotions. Loving kindness meditation is very good especially good at helping us develop emotional intelligence. Well, also mindfulness meditation is good for this as well. And so if we practice mindfulness of breathing, for example, or if we practice loving kindness meditation as a regular practice, then when we find ourselves in stressful situations, we'll be able to manage our own emotions better. We'll also be more familiar with emotions of other people, how to interact with them more effectively. If we keep precepts, if we have a moral code that we live by, these can act as breaks for us in life. And so if we don't transgress our precepts, then that means we, at least in these areas, we won't perform actions that we'll later regret, thereby adding to our stress. So this can be very helpful as well. If we practice generosity, this will make us feel good inside. It brings joy to the heart in practicing generosity. It also helps us with letting go, making sacrifices. This applies to a wide variety of situations, letting go of unpleasantries that we experience in life, for example. It also helps us develop better relationships with other people, and this can help with relieving stress in life as well. So, for many people, we find relationships with other people can be stressful in and of themselves. So these are some ideas that are applicable to people in a wide variety of jobs, and also very helpful at home and in other situations where we find ourselves feeling stressed. For those
Sadhu.
Okay, we have Lilani Balasurya. One question.
Okay, why is Venerable Moggallana depicted as having blue skin? And what was his demise like?
Okay, you want to answer that?
Oh, sure. Well, my understanding is that the reason he's depicted as having blue skin is because they say his skin was so dark that it was shining, it was very radiant. And so it's like blue. It's like perceived as blue because it was so dark. Apparently they also depict Venerable Upalavanna like this, who was also, she's the counterpart bhikkhuni to Mahamoggallana, so she was also foremost in psychic powers. And apparently she's also depicted as having like very dark blue skin. So this is seen as kind of like parallel, like a mirror. And so apparently it's the, actually Upalavanna, as I understand it, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Bhante, it actually means like a purple lotus or like a blue lotus flower. And so her name also indicates that. So maybe it's referring to the color of her skin also. I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, apparently it's because of the darkness of the skin, that because when it's very dark, it reflects light. And so it's perceived as like, just depicted as blue. And then what was his demise like? Well, actually, I don't think that in the suttas it ever mentions how he passed away. But I understand that there's a commentarial story about him being, I believe, beaten, right?
Yeah.
Bhante? Is that it? Yeah, maybe Bhante, do you want to? I don't know the story actually so well.
Yeah, so what happened here, like when Venerable Moggallana was practicing in his kuti, it is said there was a group of people who wanted to beat him. That was actually a karmic, again, result. It is said that he himself was beating his own parents long time ago in his sansara. So at when he was even became was a very powerful arahanta, still could not escape the karmic effect. So these people came, and it is said the first time when they came, Venerable Aniruddha, Venerable Muggallana, with his psychic powers, went through, escaped through the keyhole, so they couldn't catch him. And so he escaped. And then second time again they came, and this time it is said that he went through the again he was a powerful monk. He went through the ceiling, and then the third time again they showed up, and this time Venerable Moggallana was thinking, why are they after me? Why do they come to harm me all the time? And then he found out, oh, I was responsible. This was my karma. I did something bad in my samsara. And it is said he did not go away. He was there. And those people came and beat him, and almost like beaten him to death. And then they left. And Venerable Moggallana, with his psychic power, somehow, recovered, and then he went to the Buddha. It is said he expressed that it is time for him to leave, and it is said he was uh, in the air. He was actually giving a Dhamma talk. It is said most of these wonderful disciples, before passing away, the Buddha would ask them to give a Dhamma talk. That's very interesting, and many cases we have seen this. And so Venerable Anuruddha, it is Moggallana, it is said he did the same, and then he passed away. So that is the story of Venerable Moggallana. Also, it is said maybe his skin was dark because of that, or maybe he was relatively darker than the other people. So the artist, they wanted to reflect him, portrait him in a different perspective. So kanha in Pali is called dark, but kanha also in some cases is compared to blue. So as Venerable Vada mentioned correctly, like the Uppalavanna, for example, also blue. So it's just to highlight his skin tone, probably not so fair like the other, but he was little darker in his skin, so he was with that color, not the real blue color, but it was little bit darker. That was the idea. Okay. All right. Oh, this is not a question, right?
No, Julia was saying thank you for sharing on Venerable Sariputta.
Okay. All right. So we have another question. We answered this question already, right?
Yes.
So the next one from Dharmika.
Okay.
Ajahn Ved.
What is meant by knowing both outside and inside? Maybe internally, externally, I wonder.
Ajahta Bahidha.
Is this in relation to the practice of the Satipatthanas? Do we think being aware of the body internally and the body externally, for example? Or could it be a reference to something else? That's the first one that springs to my mind.
That's what springs to my mind as well. I don't know.
Yeah. Ajahta Bahidha is both internal and external.
Okay.
You first have to, for example, elements meditation, you need to first look into yourself and then compare it with the others. If you want to practice kasina, earth kasina, you practice yourself first and then compare it with the outside. And the same thing, with the water casino, what do you call, water element, mm, fire element, air element. You can always compare with the outside as well. That way, first inside Ajhata, second outside Bahidha, then both Ajhata Bahidha together. That's how in meditation it is. That's it. That is what is meant, right? Okay, so let's go to another question by Madam Zeroni.
Okay. Says they feel like they get sila too confused when slip-ups happen, particularly in speech. Happens with lying. Not sure what their intentions were. It's usually never something major, but they feel like they're never proud of their sila. Find it hard to have sila nusati and remember the good of sila. Much easier with dana. Any advice?
Yeah, you can give an advice.
Oh, no, I can try. Well, what comes immediately to mind is you might want to work on your sila. And actually, it's probably a really good sign that if you have a difficult time doing sila nusati and you feel like you're maybe lying and so on here and there, then probably it's a good sign that you could maybe, in line with what Ajahn was mentioning earlier, just apply some mindfulness and try to really develop this intentionally. I think that that's maybe the best advice, maybe relatively simple. Just in terms of slipping up, what really matters is your intention. So if you accidentally say something that then you realize it's not true, what matters is, were you intending to deceive the person, right? So like, you accidentally say something and then you realize, oh, that's actually not exactly right, but it was an accident, right? So it's just important to watch the mind closely. Like, is it trying to deceive people or kind of intentionally say something that is not true in order to deceive the person into believing that thing, which is false? So it's very specific, right? It's not just like accidentally saying something that ends up not being correct, because everybody can make mistakes. Even someone who, even very wise people, they might not know all the facts about the world, and it could just be accidentally they say something that's not true. So they don't necessarily mean to deceive anybody. So yeah, I would just watch your intentions and try to purify your sila. And once you know that, once you feel more confident, then you'll know that you're making progress.
Right. So it is said you can have a fence around the country, you can have a wall around the country, but you can't have a wall around your mouth. So the tongue doesn't have bones, so it can, it can wag. So it's also part of habit. It can be a habit. So you need to recognize your habit and try to be quiet when you have to say something. There is a beautiful practice in Buddhism, what we call noble silence. And so you don't tell lies. And when you tell lies, what happens? Like everybody does not believe you, and nobody really cares for you, and you will have a bad reputation. Nobody will trust you when you become a liar. And so remember that. Actually, in my case, like in our country, when we were little kids, our parents used to warn us, don't tell lies, your mouth will stink. So that was the warning given to us. Don't tell lies, your mouth will stink. So we were scared not to tell lies. So that, some way you need to find like those wonderful habits. Like when you become a truthful person, everybody will respect you, everybody will trust you. If you want to achieve even secular, good career, your supervisor will trust you. Your family members will trust you. Your community will trust you because you are a truthful person. So be truthful. That is really, really powerful thing. It is said in the Buddha's life as a bodhisattva during his entire bodhisattva career. It is said he has never ever told a lie. So it is said he's actually when he speaks, it is said the perfume like lotus would emanate from the Buddha's mouth because he was so truthful. So truthful, being truthful is a very, very powerful thing. Okay. All right. We have a Vietnamese greeting, Namo Adi Dafat. Okay. um, we have a question by Gregory Primoz to Venerable Ajahn Ved.
Lots on karma this evening. It says, a friend asked, is the karma of intentionally harming humans worse than harming animals? Likewise, helping humans is better karma than helping animals, right?
Well, this is again something I don't know firsthand. I have to say, but I can pass on the teachings that I've heard and I've read. According to the suttas, it does say that helping or giving to a human being is better karma than helping or giving to an animal. For example, one discourse in the suttas, it says that the Buddha told someone that if you give something to an animal, it'll bear fruit 100 times over for you. It'll come back to you 100 times over. If you give something to a human being, it'll come back to you 1,000 times over. If you give something to a virtuous human being, it will come back to you 10,000 times over. So there's an added benefit if they're virtuous. This is the Buddha emphasizing the power of giving and the difference between individuals that we can give to. There are other factors involved, for example, the state of mind, for example, when giving. This is important as well. According to, I haven't seen a teaching like this in the scriptures. This next point I'm going to make, perhaps Bhante Sumita or Ayawada may have a reference, but I haven't seen a teaching in the scriptures about it being worse karma to harm a human being than it is an animal. But that's it's the teaching of the meditation masters in Thailand. It's a common teaching that it's worse to harm a human being. So that's what I can offer. I wonder if do we have any scriptural references to that effect?
I remember the Dakkhina Vibhanga Sutta. Okay. In that it is said like different kinds of dana. If you offer something to even to an animal, the power of the karma will be like will go on to like 100 births. And if you offer something to a human, even though immoral, it can go to like 1,000 births. And if you offer something to a virtuous person, it can go to like 100,000 births. And if you can offer something to a Sotapanna person, stream enter person, and that can go to like millions of births. So the power of the karma, that is probably different. That is actually an interesting and if you offer something to the higher ranking, more spiritual people, that will be probably more higher the effect wise. But then again, harming or hurting anyone can be we know, like when we say sabbe satta bhavanta sukhitatta, may all beings be happy. We want everyone to be happy, so we have to respect all sentient beings. With keeping that in mind, we need to think that the first precept also is panatipata veramani, not to harm anyone, not to hurt anyone. So all breathing things, all sentient beings are so important to us. We need to respect all everyone's life. Okay. Right. Let's go to another question by we have here. Okay, this one. Asanta. Okay, what has done?
Okay, do we know anything about Venerable Upalavarna? I haven't read much about her. Okay, well, do we know anything? Well, in terms of the suttas, there is information. So, for example, I would recommend you check the Therigatha. So, this is a collection of poems from the bhikkhunis around the time of the Buddha, and in there she has a verse, and I think it has some stories also about her psychic powers. Her talking about her psychic powers. If I remember correctly, it's actually a pretty long verse. So yeah, you could check the Therigatha. There's definitely one in there. And then I also believe that she has a verse. I'm sorry. There's a sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya. Is that right, Bante? Do you know? Am I maybe
Did the sutta?
Okay. Yeah, I believe in the Bhikkhuni Samyutta, there's one also featuring her, and actually an interaction between her and Mara. So yes, that I would recommend you read those. And then she's also said by the Buddha in the suttas to be the foremost of his Bhikkhuni disciples in psychic powers, so the equivalent of Mahamoggallana. So that's we know that she was the foremost in psychic powers, and so probably she had very powerful psychic powers. But that's what comes to mind immediately. I would recommend you reading those sources. And then there also might be information in the commentaries as well that you could read more kind of stories that accrued in the tradition about her life.
I remember a story. Whenever this Upalavanna was also very, it is said, very arrogant lady, and she was, looking. She was coming to the Buddha's sometime, and she was looking at the Buddha from far away, and then it is said the Buddha magically created a picture, a visual picture. Only she could see that. A young lady was fanning to the Buddha, and then after a while, and this lady became older and older and fell down. And so, because she was so arrogant about her own form, the figure, the body, and then the Buddha was actually teaching her a lesson. It is said, and that's how she became a bhikkhuni. Yeah. Yeah, that's the story. I don't remember the reference though. Yeah. All right, we have another question from Rick Thorne.
Okay, Rick asks, can you share some reflections on offering the goodness or virtue of our sila as a gift to others, offering this gift of safety with a heart of loving kindness to others?
Okay. Well, yes, in the suttas, the precepts, if one undertakes the precepts, is the Buddha says it's a gift to all living beings, because then they know that they don't need to be afraid of you. They have nothing to fear from you, even if they don't know this. Actually, they actually don't have anything to fear of you. For example, if you undertake the precept to abstain from killing any living beings, then no living beings have to fear that you'll kill them. Similarly with the other precepts. And so, making a gift of the precepts to others, we make a gift by this standard by undertaking them and by keeping the precepts. If we transgress these precepts, then we can confess to someone that we've broken the precepts. If we don't find someone who's suitable to confess to, we can confess perhaps to a Buddha image, confess that we've broken a precept. kind of a serious, you might say, a serious heart, with a sincere heart. That's a better word. With a sincere heart, confess that you've transgressed this, and then make a determination to do better in the future. This is a good practice, and this is a way of keeping up our sila. It's also very good to recount our sila frequently. So it's a common practice in Burma, for example, for devout Buddhists to do a little puja, that's a little worship to service to the Triple Gem every morning, and quite commonly every evening as well. And as part of that, also recite the precepts that they keep. I remember seeing a documentary not too long ago about lying and honesty, actually. And the research coming out of some social science research in a major American university was that if people are reminded of their own moral fiber, then they're much more likely to be honest afterward and to abstain from lying. And so it seems if we can reflect on this frequently, our precepts, the principles we live by, then we'll be more likely to keep these precepts. Then I think that with regard to another aspect of your question about making a gift of your sila to other living beings, I think this would come out in our practice of loving kindness meditation and compassion meditation, for example. Also our sympathetic joy. And so we think about the living beings and wish them well. And for example, may all beings have the, be free of the desire to harm you. For example, this is one way of thinking about it. So just as I will not harm any living being, may other beings also not harm you. May you be free from harm. This is one possible formulation with regard to the first precept. It's one way of working it into your loving kindness or compassion or sympathetic joy. Just with regard to sympathetic joy, if you think just as I would not steal any of your belongings, and I hope that you will not be separated from any gains that you've made. May all living beings refrain from stealing from you, and may they also wish that you not be separated from what you hold dear. Some examples, if I may offer those.
Sadhu, 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 sadhu. I think we are running out of time, and we have actually, this is not a question, but I think it is better to read this. Karuna's monastic cat cuddler.
Yes, I was
She
wondering.
says she has a question and it was deleted, and
said apologies. Is it
most likely we didn't delete.
We did not. She says this is duplicate, but I don't actually see one from her. So I wonder if there's some kind of problem. Just scrolling.
Yeah.
Looks like her question didn't appear.
Yeah.
So it's too bad.
Karuna is someone who's come to the monastery quite frequently. She's a dedicated practitioner, and she's provided a lot of service to the monastery.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
She also has shown a lot of loving kindness to Teddy, the cat. So.
Beautiful. Thank you, Karuna. I'm sorry about the question somehow disappearing.
Yeah.
And anicca, impermanent. So please make sure you can come up with the question again in the next week. And that's all we have for tonight, right? And all the people also thanking and saying sadhu, Anjali to the teachings and the questions and answer session. I hope it was helpful. And thank you everyone for joining us today, and also the live audience. And thank you again. So hopefully it was helpful to you as well. And we would like to conclude today's session. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you, help you, protect you, and guide you towards the right path. We will see you again with another monk chat like this in the next week. So with that, we conclude the session with 3 sadhus. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bhante, I wonder, now that the Dhamma section is over, I wonder if it might be possible to make a few quick announcements.
Right. I think Saturday we do have evening, we have meditation session, and Sunday as usual we have the community lunch dana, and also 1 to 4 we have the meditation. Apart from that, we have a special session that will be a special Buddha puja
Yes.
by the resident monks here. So that will be a new experience. We would like to invite all our friends to be a part of this beautiful ceremony on Sunday as well. So if you are around, please come join us on Sunday. That will also be the Asalha Purnima day, full moon day of Asalha. And that was the day it is said the Buddha preached the first sermon, Dhamma Chakkapavatana Sutta. So that is when the first ever Sotapanna person, the stream enterer, a human being, as Venerable Kondanya. He became Anya Kondanya on that day. So that's a very special day, and the monks also would observe their rains retreat, 3 months rains retreat for their own personal practice that will begin also on this Poya day. So, do you have anything else to add?
Well, if I may, additionally, Bhante, I'd like to announce some sad news for Empty Cloud, which is that Venerable Bhante, Dr. Sumita, is going to be traveling soon, and he's leaving on Sunday.
I'm leaving on, yes.
Is it? Okay. Leaving on Sunday after about 5 weeks, 6 weeks here at Empty Cloud, and it's been such a privilege to have him here. It's such a joy and a pleasure. He's contributed so much to the community with his wisdom and his erudition and his loving kindness and his wonderful personality, and I think we'll all miss him terribly. And unfortunately, he leaves on Sunday, traveling on, and so I wanted to let everyone know, and anyone who'd like to come and see him off, maybe a good opportunity tomorrow. Perhaps if you'd like to come around mealtime or come at tea time at 5 o'clock. And then Venerable Dr. Bhante Sumita will be leading the Saturday evening Dhamma program, starting at 6 o'clock, running until 7:30. So it's a good opportunity to take advantage of a teaching. We might say the last teaching for now. Hopefully he'll be back soon, perhaps after the Wasa, I don't know. But don't miss out on the opportunity to come and see him tomorrow if you can.
Thank you so much. And also I would say, like, I should be very humbled. And also thank you so much, the two venerables by the both sides of me, and they were really, really wonderful. I learned from them too. And yes, and the community here, the residents were really amazing. Also, always I'm so happy to be part of this Empty Cloud community, and I would like to come back again, definitely, for sure. And yes, I also don't want to be like arrogant when somebody is appreciating me too much. And again, thank you so much. May you all be well, happy, healthy. Sukhi Digha Baba. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.